Welcome back to C-Noel MMA, and in today's video, I will be giving my reaction, recap, and breaking down this past weekend's UFC Fight Night, Mexico City, where we had Loner Kavanaugh pull off the upset against Brandon Moreno. And now I know I picked Brandon Moreno, but I did say Loner Kavanaugh has a good chance, and I gave a lot of good reasoning behind that. And what I said and what would need to happen for him to pull it off happened. So, even though I picked Brandon Moreno, I know that, hand up, I got the pick wrong. I knew what I was talking about, though. I did. And you have to respect that. So now you must subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on I think it was Thursday. Hit the like button on that video, and now you have to like this video, because I'm about to give a beautiful recap and reaction. This was a pretty solid fight night. We're gonna go through the whole card, because I want to make a point that we'll get into more later, that there were so many fighters on this card that should not even be in the UFC. They are not UFC level. We brand the UFC as the NFL of mixed martial arts, and there were so many trash can fighters on this card, which we know why they were there. It's because they were either Mexican or South American, and besides Brazil, really, there's no good prospects from that part of the world. And the UFC just wants that market, so they have these trash cans on the card. But we'll talk about that later after we talk about which was a very fine performance from Loner Kavanaugh. So I scored round one to Loner Kavanaugh. It was somewhat close, and I think Brandon Moreno, volume-wise, landed more than Kavanaugh. However, Kavanaugh, that he started, especially towards the end of the round, his shots just did more damage. And I think those leg kicks, with how visibly damaging they were already in the first round, mattered, on top of the combinations he was putting together with his hands and kicks to the body and the head of Brandon Moreno. And I said in the video leading up to this fight that lead leg of Brandon Moreno is there to be chewed up by Loney. And that's exactly what he did. And it got even worse in the second round. First round, 10-9 Loner Kavanaugh. It was close-ish. But his shots were visibly damaging compared to Moreno, where he landed some solid, good strikes. Kavanaugh's did damage. They would put Brandon Moreno on the back foot. Then you go into the second round, where Kavanaugh almost finishes the two-time former flyweight champion in Brandon Moreno. Sits him down, kinda didn't. It was a bit of a slip, but then also it was swarming him very hard. And that was an easy 10-9 for Loner Kavanaugh. Worked the calf kick even more. Had Brandon to start limping, picking up that lead leg. I gave the third round to Brandon Moreno. He edged that one out. But I also think it's kind of clear, Kavanaugh, as I said, he could give a big problem to Brandon in those first two rounds, which he in fact did, and would slow down. Now, even though he won the fight, and we'll talk about the fourth and fifth round here in a second, he slowed down significantly in the third round, just didn't throw much or land much. And Brandon Moreno, kind of like the first round, just with Loner not giving much back, landed solid, good strikes. Not insanely damaging, but they are damage-inflicting strikes. So I thought that was pretty clearly a Brandon Moreno round three. Now, round four, I'm sorry, Loner Kavanaugh won that round. Holding your opponent up against the fence and kneeing their thigh is stalling. He never gained an an advantageous position. Now, Loner needs to get that underhook and turn out of that. That's the one thing Bisping said all night that was correct. The commentating booth was awful. Who in their right mind wants to listen to Brandon Fitzgerald, Laura Sanko, and Michael Bisping commentate a high-level UFC fight? I don't. They were awful. Point is, though, Brandon Moreno, fourth round, that's about all he did. And he landed a few good shots on the feet as well. But Loner, again, hit that calf and had Brandon lipping. That is significant damage. He literally is affecting the movement of Brandon Moreno. And also was landing a couple of nasty teep kicks to the body and landed some big shots upstairs as well. And in the fifth round, I think Loner won that round as well. Brandon Moreno had it a little bit up against the fence. Not much compared to the fourth round, though. And Loner, again, was working that lead calf, working the body, and working the head. And I thought it was pretty clear 4-1 Loner. And it was a phenomenal performance. He is so very skilled. But his gas tank did look better compared to the Charles Johnson fight, but he still has to work on that. But on any given night, with his power for how small he is, his skill on the feet, and I think his grappling defense is pretty good, and we've seen even offensively from him in the past, he's a solid grappler. Skill-wise, Loner Kavanaugh is a top-tier flyweight. It's a few things in between that he needs to work on to get to be championship level, because he has the skill to do it, really. He's probably the best striker at 125. I'd take the only other one is who? Joshua Van. I would take him over Joshua Van all day. I think he's faster, more powerful, and more well-rounded on the feet. His kicking game is very impressive. And this was just a overall very impressive performance. I do wonder if he didn't invest so heavily in that lead calf kick, if this fight maybe would have played a little bit different with Brandon being able to move around more. But that's Brandon Moreno now in this state of his career. He just plays it safe. And if it's not hit, like I was saying in the build-up, if it's not his way, it's the highway for himself. And that's exactly what happened here. He was pretty much dominated. He was dominated the first 2 rounds, won a close 3rd round, and did nothing really in the 4th or 5th. And the only reason there's even debate about it is just because Loner slowed down so much. But Loner is a legit prospect if he can build that gas tank up and keep improving on grappling defense, which it seems like he has a pretty good base of it already. But I thought that was a super impressive performance by Loner Kavanaugh. Brandon Moreno, I know he's still young, but man, if you're not going out there looking to win and lay it on the line, retire, man. You could probably work for the UFC, commentate for the Spanish-speaking audience. If you don't, this is not the same Brandon Moreno that fought Davison Figueiredo 4 times. It's not the same that even lost to Pantoja when he lost his belt. It's not the same guy anymore, and I honestly don't like to see it because it makes me not like him because he's turned into a pretty boring fighter. And I've liked Brandon Moreno ever since the quadrilogy with Davison. He would scrap, man, but his past 4 fights have been very lackluster. So unless he makes a huge mental change, I think it's time to hang it up for Moreno. He just really offered nothing in response to the damage that Loner dealt out in the 1st and 2nd round. And like I said, Loner is probably the highest skill level by far on the feet in the flyweight division. And maybe overall, besides maybe Pantoja and Tatsuro's amazing grappling game. But big things ahead for Loner. Flyweight is a young man's game, and it's pretty impressive to see. I would not be surprised if maybe we got Loner Kavanaugh and Manel Kape. I think that would be an amazing fight. We kind of have this weird threesome going on with Joshua Van, Pantoja when's he coming back, and then we have Van and Tyra coming up on UFC 327. Video coming out about the fight announcements tomorrow. I'm a little late, but there's some more we can talk about as well. But overall, Loner, skill-wise, is phenomenal. That gas tank, though, if he can refine that, he's a future champion. He's just so good on the feet, and he has insane finishing ability for a top-level flyweight. And he's quick, fast. I really enjoyed watching those first 2 rounds. Then the fight did get a little bit lackluster as it went on. But I still thought it was really impressive. Mexico City altitude, about 3 weeks' notice, taking on Brandon Moreno to get it done by unanimous decision, have early dominant rounds, and even though the gas tank withered, kept his composure through the entire fight. He's very young. I don't know. He's very young. So that was an amazing, I shouldn't say amazing, but very, it's impressive performance, and it's very intriguing seeing what Loner does next. And Brandon Moreno, that's interesting too, man. Honestly, if you're not going to change anything and keep fighting 50% of the way you used to fight, Brandon, time to hang it up, my brother. Moving down to the co-main event, man, classic Chito Vera. Does really nothing but march forward for the first 2 rounds. Deals no real damage. David Martinez is hopping around like a crack pipe baby on the back foot and countering with some semi-big shots in the first 2 rounds. I thought they were very clear David Martinez. Clear 3rd round for Chito just because David kind of got tired and stopped throwing. I was disappointed in, which I kind of knew Chito was at this stage of his career. He has 1 more and it's time to hang it up. Because there's something still there. He just doesn't decide to click and do it. I think this David Martinez guy, he's overrated. He's super fast and athletic and explosive, but I don't think any of his skill is that impressive at all. Whoever they match him up with next at the top level of the bantamweight division, guys that are still in their prime, like I think most of them off the floor with him. I think Song Yadong would school David Martinez. Mario Bautista would school David Martinez. I was not impressed with his performance necessarily, especially the way Cheeto fought those first 2 rounds. He should have made them much more concise and clear, which they were clear, but dominating. And then, of course, Cheeto, with 2 minutes left, goes out there and kind of looks like an older version of himself, dealing damage and edging out. It was still a pretty close 3rd round. I was honestly just pretty disappointed with this fight overall. I thought it'd be better. I thought Cheeto would have more to offer, but hey, that's the point he's at in his career. Why does he have such a big fan base? He's like a jerk. He's like, I get like being chippy and stuff, but it's like sports, like he's just mad for no reason, it seems like. I've never been a fan. David Martinez, though, like I said, I think he's overrated. I think almost anybody in the top 15 at bantamweight at this point would beat Cheeto, just the way he fights. And I think, honestly, he could offer more than what he did in this fight, and even his fight against Amian Zahabi, where he kept it very close. I'd maybe take Martinez over Zahabi, though. I think Zahabi's overrated as well. But, nonetheless, disappointing fight overall. David Martinez, though, super athletic, explosive, and powerful. Very young, though, too, so he still has time to refine the game and refine the gas tank. If you're going to fight like that, you have to be able to keep up that pace, and he most obviously started fading in that 2nd round. And if it wasn't for Cheeto's inactivity and hesitancy, he very well could have won a close decision in that fight, but he just decided not to throw. Hey, Cheeto. This was a weird fight night, man. Moving down the card, King Green throwing it back for the boys. Daniel Zellhuber is awful. You can chalk it up to it's a mental lapse or something. He's not confident. So what? You're in the UFC. You cut him. He's tall. That's it. He sucks. He can't hit anybody. He's one of the most inaccurate strikers I've ever seen. Freaking King Green. I picked you, Zellhuber. I was like, King Green went to a close decision with Lance Gibson Jr., who's a trash can. And you, Zellhuber, you get schooled by this unk. Shout out King Green, though. He's always fun to watch. The swagger, the emoting. You gotta love it. And, man, his boxing's always been slick. He's always been quick and powerful. So, you gotta love that throwback performance from King Green. But like I was saying earlier, Daniel Zellhuber, not UFC level. Get him out of there. He does not need to be there. Yeah, I picked Zellhuber, though. God, my picks weren't very great. On the last 3, at least. Oh, moving down the card to Edgar Chairez and Felipe Bunez. Bunez, very good grappler. Horrible on the feet. Chairez, just a little bit better on the feet, and that's what got him to edge out this fight. I had the first round of Bunez just with the control time, and I thought Edgar Chairez clearly outdamaged Bunez in the 2nd round. Used his jab pretty effectively. He did get busted up, but I know those strike numbers say something different, but I thought he was obviously, and I'm guessing a lot of those are ground strikes from the 1st round, but I thought Chairez clearly controlled the fight on the feet and dealt way more damage. Yeah, this was a weird fight to me. I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember it that well for some reason. But I know. I picked Chairez, and he won, and I thought he won the fight as well. Split decision. Somewhat entertaining, though. I did enjoy seeing like Bunez kind of get that 1st round with the grappling. Then Chairez coming back and being able to hold his own, control it on the feet. Kind of like I said would happen. I knew Bunez was a good grappler. Chairez, long, rangy, decent striker. But still kind of like, I'm so sick of these low-level fights in the UFC. It just seems like we're not getting like high-level competition in the UFC right now. It's very disappointing. Moving down, this was a pretty sick fight while it lasted. Kevin Borjas, underrated striker at 125 pounds, packs a decent little punch in his shots as well. Was able to catch Imanol with a nasty hook early in the fight and drop Imanol and almost finish him, like on the brink of a finish. And then Imanol, dude, crazy takedown. Straight up like just lifted him up with his forearms and just put him on his back. Controlled him to the end of the 1st. Borjas still won that 1st. I mean, he about finished Imanol in the 1st round. And even though, like, he gets a little wild, opens himself up on the feet, but the pressure, the pace, the tenacity, the blast double legs, he's a fun fighter at 125. And he catches him over the top of the temple, gets that delayed reaction KO. I thought that was super sick. I love a delayed reaction KO. They're so funny. I love my roommate. He does not really watch the sport like I kind of make him, and he likes it, but he doesn't really know what's going on. I was like, watch this. And he's like, sees the punchline. He's like, he was about to say, what am I watching? And then he sees Borjas fall. He's like, hey! It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool ordeal. But even though I think he is legit, I like the call out of Joseph Morales to run that back from tough. But maybe you build that a little more, because I feel like I believe Joseph Morales is 15 in the rankings. I think Imanol has the potential to be there. There's probably some better overall strikers than him, but with his pace, tenacity, and his power, and his ability to control guys on the ground and get those double legs, I think he's a serious threat to a lot of flyweights that are not in the top 15. So I think he could get there sooner rather than later. Good performance, though. I like him and all his fun. Kevin Borjas, he's a little bit of a one-trick pony with just landing those hook counters. But you got to give it to the guy. He can land a hook counter and put you down. Underrated flyweight, in my opinion. Moving down to Santiago Luna and Angel Pacheco. Santiago Luna, he's a very impressive prospect skill-wise. Angel Pacheco, his boxing is like solid. Has a good jab, but he's so unathletic. No thud on his shots at all. You think he has cotton balls in his glove. It's sad. It sucks because he kind of he's worked hard to be a pretty decent mixed martial artist. Even had pretty good get-ups from the bottom, but he's just so unathletic. No, fast twitch muscle. And this 21-year-old in Santiago Luna, world-class wrestler, getting better each and every time on the feet. The gas tank's a little weary, but Santiago clearly gets this easy decision win. Angel gave him a few hiccups here and there, though. Was piecing him up with that jab. Was hard to keep down, but I think this is good for a guy like Santiago Luna. Getting in there with this is like a high-level regional guy. He's not really UFC level, but he's kind of you see him in the LFA, and he's like 13-4 or 5. But you're he's tough, though. He's lost to guys that went to the UFC and did pretty decent on the regional scene. He's pretty all right. But I think going 3 rounds to a decision, even though I would have liked to see him display his power a little more effectively, because he had Angel rocked in a couple moments. I would have liked to see him go for the kill. But also, in the long time frame of Santiago Luna's promising career, it's probably good for him to get a good 15 minutes there in the octagon in the Mexico City altitude, which, I think he's from Mexico City, so maybe that. But, fighting's different, or, I don't. Never mind, he spoke perfect English. He probably don't even live in Mexico. Yeah. We'll make the prelims quick. Jose Daniel Medina, cut. Trash can. He's from where? Some Bolivia. It's the only reason he's on the roster. They want all of Bolivia to watch their guy, Jose Daniel Medina. Garbage, didn't land a single strike, did nothing, and which I think this Gandra guy is actually pretty decent. He's a marauder. Took his head off, easy finish in 41 seconds, and it's just it's kind of just a wasted fight for a prospect in Gandra coming off the Contender Series, because you don't even know if he actually is good, because he's fighting a guy that is horrible and nowhere even close to UFC level. He's like a bad regional fighter. So that was pathetic. But hey, Gandra did the thing, though. Got it done in 41 seconds. And that's exactly what you got to do if you think of yourself as high level and you're fighting a very inferior opponent. And Jose Daniel Medina, cutting from the sport. Pathetic. Gandra, though, very powerful. Seemed pretty quick and agile on the feet. Kind of has a weird torso build. But hey, We'll see what he got's going on next, you know what I mean? Moving down the card, this was a super boring fight, and the stand-up on the feet was pathetic, but hey, Aline Perez gets it done by unanimous decision. I believe she won the fight, and her celebration's just disgusting. Get that degeneracy off my camera, Paramount Plus. I don't want to see it. Never. I didn't want to. You made me watch it. I didn't even watch this fight, I don't think. I didn't watch it. I think I watched the first minute and went and cooked dinner. This is horrible. Both these guys, trash. Cut them. Chris Montinho, horrible, pathetic, loser. Should not be in the UFC. Christian Quinones. If you watch that fight and you're casual, you're like, oh, this guy's pretty slick. He's throwing that jab from the hip. Dude, Chris Montinho's horrible. Quinones was not even that much better. He just had some actual skill, okay? He kind of sucks too, and maybe I'm being a little hard, but it's pathetic. He should have finished him easily, and he was in the zone against Chris Moutinho, who's probably the worst fighter in the UFC. Cut him from the sport, cut him from the entire sport, not just the UFC. He should never be allowed to fight again. He's just a zombie out there. Quinones gets a pathetic victory. Is that your headline for this fight? Disgusting. I hated it. Every minute of it. Moving down the card, again, low level. Douglas Silva de Andrade dropped Reyes in the first round early. Then Javier Reyes gets kind of like a very close TKO ground and pound victory. I thought it was a fine stoppage. I would have stopped it. I thought it was a good stoppage. I believe it was Herb Dean. But Javier Reyes he was horrible on the feet. I thought he sucked. The grappling exchanges were terrible between these two. This is a literal grandpa with power in his hands. It's this market, like these fights are entertaining to a casual because there's a bunch of finishes and outcomes, interesting things, but so low level. I thought this was a horrible fight as well. I don't care that it was a first round finish. This was disgusting. Dude, this was a scrap. What a fight. Did this get fight of the night? If it didn't, it should have. People would probably call me a WMMA hater, which I am. I don't really like watching it all that much, but I still watch most of the fights, especially if they just don't start off horrible. This was a phenomenal fight. Deserves fight of the night. Regina Taryn, not just a pretty face. She's a lovely looking lady, but she can also scrap. She fights mean, man. And Ernesta Caracate fought Carly Judice very close previously, I believe. So not a bad win at all for this Regina Taryn prospect at I know it was a catchweight. I'm guessing they fight at 125 because I believe the catchweight was at 130. But, man, it was a freaking scrap. They were going at it. Actually putting together combinations as well. It wasn't just like a sparring match like a lot of women's MMA fights go. I enjoyed watching it. It was great. Taryn's very tough. Puts together combinations. It's gonna sound, I don't mean, she's thick. She's a dense lady. Not even, I'm not saying fat either. I'm not that guy calling this obviously very fit woman fat, because she's not. But she's like a dense girl. Got thick bones, I don't know. Thick thighs. They save lives. I'm not trying to be like a perv, man. I mean this as a MMA freaking analysis, dude. I'm not a weirdo, alright? She freaking can throw down, dude. We'll leave it at that, man. Shout out Regina. Oh my gosh. Francis Marshall, underrated featherweight. Had a close split decision with Myron Santos. Is turning out to be a pretty decent prospect. Eric Silva, again, low level. Has no ground game whatsoever. It was so easy for Francis just to take him down and submit him. Francis Marshall, underrated, I think. He has a decent, well-rounded game, especially with the ground. He's pretty high level there. Eric Silva, again, cut from the sport. Awful. Pinas exploded all over Wes Schultz. Wes Schultz cut him from the sport. He's a baby. He can't handle anything. I believe he got hit on the arm and was wobbled. Everyone's acting like this Pinas guy is now should be a very highly touted prospect. First of all, Wes Schultz looked horrible, should never be allowed to compete in MMA again in a day in his life. It was pathetic. I'm nothing compared to these pro MMA fighters. I could have competed better than Wes Schultz did. I'm being so serious. And I have 6 to 8 months of MMA training and a year of BJJ under my belt. So I didn't want to steal a little rusty kickboxing from Lucas Tracy, all right? I got the rusty MMA basics. I know it was a Muay Thai based gym. I know the clinch game, all right? I'll get real mean in there. You don't want to see my plum tie, all right? I'll chicken scratch that freaking checked leg kick. What? Pinas, though, I think he's not that great either. I think he has good power. Striking was very sloppy, though. He doesn't keep anything tight, really, or throw with flow. It's just all fast twitch and powerful, which can get you a good amount of weight at middleweight. But maybe he improves and get better, and maybe it just looks so bad because it was Wes Schultz, of course. But overall, this card was fun, but it's just so many low-level events. Low level. This was actually high level for WMMA, and especially them not being ranked. A great fight as well. Low level is awful. I guess you consider this high level, but it was boring and disgusting. Shout out Aline Perez, though. She's fun, I guess. Low level opponent. We don't know what's going on with Gandra. He could be something good, you know. Good fight. I seen people hating on Pacheco. Like he's not athletic at all, but there's some skill. There's a skill set there. Great. This was a great while it lasted. It was okay. King Green school throwback performance. Disappointing, not horrible. Started off great, wilted towards the end. But overall, Mexico City, I give it like a 5.5 or a 5. I'm just sick of low-level competition in the UFC. It does not need to be there. If you're bad, you're bad. Cut them from the sport. This is where the best of the best come to fight, and I'm sick of the low level and laziness in promoting of the UFC right now by the current regime. It's pathetic. But yeah, that's the UFC Fight Night, Mexico City, Moreno, Kavangh reaction video. And if I should have just picked Kavangh, I really wanted to, but I thought it's too much. But hey, I know this sport, and I told y'all there's a good chance that could happen and how it would happen, and that's pretty much how it happened. So yeah, please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you've watched all the way through listening to me yap. I appreciate you and I love you. I very much appreciate that. Please comment below what you thought of UFC Fight Night Mexico City, and if you agree with the take that it was just pathetically low level for the most part. But that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Big announcement coming tomorrow with the picks and preview. Of No, tomorrow is the UFC fight announcement reaction, early predictions. I'm just making the video tomorrow probably, but Wednesday I have my picks and preview of UFC 326, and I have a big announcement about that. So please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you can hear the big announcement that has to do with me in UFC 326. All right, but y'all, I appreciate you watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, See No MMA. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Christ is King.